Hello, and welcome to the Geopolitics Explained podcast. Last episode, I explored the characteristics of demographics in the European Union and how these characteristics are contributing to multiple issues arising within the EU. These issues include migration, aging populations, declining birth rates, youth unemployment, the East-West divide, and identity issues. Navigating such a wide range of issues is easier said than done, and addressing them will require political will, cultural vision, and long-term thinking, all of which currently are in rather short supply. But in today's episode, I want to flip this on its head. With every issue comes a potential opportunity. There are many examples of countries around the world where demographic strategies have been leveraged and they've led to positive change. Today, Europe faces a fork in the road, a difficult path to begin to address some fundamental issues, or an easy road to stagnation. So, will Europe choose the pathway that embraces opportunity, or will they choose the one that multiplies its challenges? Let's dive in. To frame this episode and this discussion on potential demographic opportunities that Europe faces, I've decided to introduce a piece of work to frame this issue. This is Jared Diamond's book, Collapse, which focuses on the collapse of societies throughout history and how demographics can play a role in these collapses. In the book, Diamond details 5 main factors that can contribute to collapse of societies. These are environmental damage, climate change, hostile neighbours, a loss of trade partners, or society botching its responses to its problems. A key example seen in history is overpopulation in a specific region can lead to a strain on limited resources. To counter this strain on resources, societies often pursue environmental damage. For example, if you lack the necessity of shelter, you could chop down trees to address this problem. But this is an example of short-term survival being pursued, and eventually the consequences will later arrive. One day in the future, you will have no trees left. This will damage ecosystems, and then you can't grow food. Your shelter will also age and decay, and you have no raw materials to replace these aging, decaying shelters. This is one such example of the start of a potential societal collapse because these resources aren't renewable. Diamond's work is well worth reading. He offers a lens through which demographic strain can be seen feeding into broader systems. Our world today, and specifically the European Union, runs on such systems, and these systems can experience strain. I'm aware that the concept of societal collapse is extreme and isn't a risk for the European Union today, but it does allow us to frame demographic issues that can lead to stagnation or crisis, and to then focus on potential strategies to address this potential stagnation. The most relevant of the 5 characteristics that Diamond presents is that Europe faces the issue of potentially botching its response to its problems. EU bureaucracy or populist backlash could slow any attempt to address demographic issues. The lack of progress in beginning to address some demographic issues could be a systemic consequence of the structure of the European Union. A key risk today lies not in these demographic trends themselves, but in how Europe responds to them. There are some issues that could arise. For example, overpopulation could occur in urban areas. Youth unemployment could see population strain if not enough young people have access to job opportunities. This is especially true for university graduates who are seeing a mismatch between skills gained in higher education and jobs available. Aging populations can also put pressure on society, as can falling birth rates. Both of these characteristics can place burdens on a shrinking labour force, on healthcare and on pension schemes. This will eventually one day lead to dramatic reforms in the world of work, but we are not there yet. Ethnic and religious demographics can also contribute to rising internal tension. If migration occurs without adequate integration, this can strain social cohesion. Areas where these issues are exemplified and they can worsen. But now that we're aware of such issues, if action is taken, what positive opportunities could we see unfold within Europe? Firstly, there is demographic adaptation. Some countries are attempting to raise birth rates through cash incentives, paid parental leave, free childcare, or housing support. We see this in France, where their higher fertility rates compared to the rest of Europe are tied to family support strategies such as childcare and housing subsidies. However, these schemes only put a small dent in the problem. If culture and lifestyle don't support having children, it's not easily incentivised. So there is an opportunity here, but it is less muted than some of the other potential opportunities. A second potential opportunity could come in reform of government. One example that exists far away from the European Union is in Costa Rica, where they abolished their military and instead invested heavily in education and health, which has boosted demographic resiliency. Now, especially in the world that we live in today, countries in Europe need a military, so this wouldn't be an option for them. The continent is in pursuit of a rearmament process to deter against potential aggression and to counter the withdrawal of the US security umbrella. But this aspect here does highlight that we should consider what is truly important. We should cut what isn't important to free up space to adapt and grow. One such example is Scotland's National Performance Framework. Other reforms in this space could include a connection between retirement age and life expectancy, or long-term population planning integration into EU funding frameworks. Next, there is an opportunity for social flexibility. Scandinavian countries have seen cultural and institutional adaptation to demographic and environmental shifts. This includes parental leave for both parents that is generous, green planning, language training, civic education, and inclusive employment programs. This, of course, has to be balanced because too much change too quickly can fuel populist backlash and can contribute to cultural fragmentation. But there is a clear opportunity in the fact that these Scandinavian countries are embracing such opportunities. Next, we have the potential for technological substitution. Beyond cultural shifts and policy reform, technology could be one of the most transformative opportunities in demographics. Automation, AI, and robotics are emerging industries which could replace shrinking workforces in aging populations. There is, of course, the flip side to this, that automation, AI, and robotics will also take jobs. This transition is likely the way that the world is heading, but it will have huge transitional pain. Outside of the clear issues that exist here, there is also the potential for opportunity. Finally, there is the opportunity for a complete positive mindset shift. In the demographic characteristics of the European Union, there exists a positive opportunity. Migration can rejuvenate labour forces, it can spur innovation, and it can diversify a society. We have seen the positive effects of immigration in Canada, and this has played a key role in mitigating labour shortages and in countering an ageing population. In Europe, we've also seen Ireland's migration-driven technology boom occur. We can't cast aside the political risks if migration occurs without integration and public buy-in. We're seeing around the world, but especially in Europe, populists are weaponising this tension, and we can see this in clashes over national identity across many European nations. This highlights how important inclusive systems are, especially in education, and these will be essential for building a positive, diverse demographic future. Societies can face demographic crises with innovation, inclusivity, and a long-term mindset to advance their countries for the better. In the coming decades, the likely scenario in the European Union and in other regions around the world with demographic issues is a tense, stagnant period of adaptation with a future hope for positive transformation. This would come from leveraging such opportunities that we've discussed today. The biggest question here is what pathway the EU will take. Will they choose one of stagnation, or will they choose one of opportunity, innovation, and positive integration? The answer lies in the hands of our leaders. Next episode, I'm going to discuss politics across the EU, before finally concluding this series on the EU with a vital question. When all is said and done, what will the EU be known for? Until then, I've been Dylan. I'll talk to you next time.